Welcome back to the news at 10. The Senate Committee on Power is frowning on plans by the Rural Electrification Agency, a parastatal in the Ministry of Power, to spend 10 billion naira on solar power projects in 9 universities in the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. Committee members raised concerns over the project at a 2018 budget defense session with the managing director of the agency, Mrs. Damilola Ogunbi. The lawmakers argue that the funds should be channeled into electrification projects in villages and communities which urgently need rural electrification. The chairman of the committee, Senator Eyin Naya Abaribe, is also not impressed with what he describes as lack of preparation by the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, to defend the 2018 budget of the Ministry of Power. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Power, Works and Housing is insisting that the proposed street lighting project is aimed at rejuvenating the nation's education system by providing uninterrupted power supply to a total of 37 federal universities and 7 university teaching hospitals in the country. They are also claiming the project would help extend electrification to rural and underserved areas where the institutions are located, as well as provide optimized security for safety and the well-being of students and staff. The ministry was reacting to comments made by members of the Senate Committee on Power criticizing the solar power project. The Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike is not giving up on his plan to set realistic deadlines for the completion of ongoing projects in the state, and he's passing the message to all contractors handling projects in the state. The governor was speaking during the flag-off for the Port Harcourt Pleasure Park Cinema and fast food restaurant in Port Harcourt, the River State capital. According to him, an average of 4,000 persons, including fun seekers, currently visit the park, with the new facilities having the potential of providing hundreds of youths with gainful employment.
On the report I have, at least every weekend, Friday, Saturday, every day, we have not less than 4,000 persons coming in there. And we want to give God the glory that we've been able to achieve that. And I said it's also that we're going to provide other facilities. Today we are flagging off the foundation laying ceremony of the cinema and that of the fast food. The permanent secretary said as quickly as possible. I don't know what you understand by that. The Royal Johannesburg, we have paid 40%. And we expect these projects to be completed in 6 months' time. We have paid for 40%. We need this commission this project latest June 2018.
The Voluntary Asset and Income Declaration Scheme of the federal government will not make life unbearable for Nigerians. And these are the words of the chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, at the second workshop for professionals participating in the program. And like Mr. Fashola, tax administrators at the dialogue session insisted that the scheme will make remittances transparent.
This is the second meeting on the Voluntary Asset and Income Declaration Scheme holding in Lagos. The meeting has professionals and some taxpayers in attendance. Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, takes on a critical area that concerns entities currently under audit.
Once an audit has commenced, we will finish the audit. However, you can still have the benefits of not paying interest and not paying any penalty. And you can also come forward with the information that you do have. We will look at that information, and if we decide that that information contains some things that we already know, then we may stop the audit.
It's also believed that the initiative will enhance the ease of remittances and make payments more transparent.
By the first quarter of next year, hopefully we'll have small cubicles where you can walk into any FIS office and file your returns online.
There are provisions in those legislation that allow government or allow the Federal Inland Revenue Service to obtain information about taxpayers. Even if those informations cannot be accessed from the taxpayer, those information can be accessed from other sources.
VAIDs is a time-limited opportunity for taxpayers to regularize their status. The program is described as appropriate.
The days of lackadaisical attitude towards tax are getting over, and that is why Nigerians should now wake up and come up with it.
For the advising professionals. This is an opportunity for them to begin to enable the taxpayers put their books in proper shape.
My encouragement is let's pay our taxes and let's hold government to account. It doesn't matter what any law says to the contrary. There's social justice and there are things that are right by design. Yeah, and to go against that will be going against the law of nature.
Under VAIDs, defaulters stand the benefits of forgiveness on overdue interests and penalties. With less than 4 months to the deadline, it may be wise to declare early in order to avoid these consequences.
Financial and technology startups and potential investors in the sector have been meeting in Lagos at a forum put together by Fintech Foundry with support from one of Nigeria's leading institutions, Access Bank. The forum hopes to discover and nurture the growth of technology startups in Africa through mentorship and strategic investments.
It's a large audience comprising of young and budding technology experts, ranging from developers to entrepreneurs, all with the same vision, growing their businesses with the aid of technology. Although many of those present here are already familiar with the use of technology, the need to optimize that knowledge to transform their businesses is the reason for this gathering.
It's our very first.
Africa Fintech Foundry, an initiative of Access Bank, is willing to give startups the necessary backing to achieve their goals through its mentorship and accelerator programs.
And just yesterday, we launched our fiscal office called The Hive, somewhere in VI. And this location is meant to bring together the best of brains, capital, information, and all the ingredients that are necessary to drive innovation in the market as we see it. We'll create opportunities for African innovators and entrepreneurs who seek to grow their capacity and have access to capital and the global market. And that's what AFF is going to help us achieve.
The Lagos State government is partnering with the private sector to establish a tech startup in Yaba.
Part of the AFF deal for the startups include access to capital locally in global financial markets.
In some ways, a connection to investment and investor funds. And in a lot of ways, it's a sandbox and a safe place for emerging companies in financial technology to experiment and test their ideas using safe application programming interface protocols that connect them to the bank's existing banking platforms.
If us individuals or corporates want to be at the forefront of their industries, they have to keep innovating. This is a way where we not only innovate, but we encourage others around us to innovate.
Over the next couple of months, the impact of tech startups that must have gone through the tutelage of Africa Fintech Foundry will become manifest in the economy. And the AFF says it will continue to monitor their progress in line with its overall objective of training and mentoring promising tech startups to enable them thrive and scale successfully.
Let's take a look at some business news now. Here's Emana Amawe.
You first. First Bank.
Hello and welcome to Business News. Nigeria's Debt Management Office today released its debt auction calendar for the first quarter of 2018, showing a plan to raise 1.08 trillion naira in treasury bills. The auction plan expects more bills to be rolled over into the debt market between January and March next year. The DMO also plans to repay 66.62 billion naira worth of treasury bills on December the 21st after settling 131.42 billion naira notes on Thursday. In the meantime, yields on Nigeria's mid-dated treasury bills rose nearly 1% to 12%, while bills issued as 1 year but within 160 and 220 days to maturity rose by 80 basis points today. And Nigeria's competitiveness is improving based on the current level of foreign reserves and falling inflation. However, there's a lot that still needs to be achieved, and that's according to the Chief Executive Officer of the National Competitiveness Council of Nigeria, Mr. Chika Modi, while speaking on our Business Morning program today.
There have been some improvements. They are marginal. Already there's some economic stability, and you can see this if you look at the reserves, the inflation level, and the rest of it. We're beginning to see some stability. That is always a good to have. However, the bigger question is, where should Nigeria be? So if you're deep in a well that is full of water and you're managing to get your head above water, yes, you're improving, but you're not out of the well. The bigger challenge is to pull ourselves out of the well. And we need to have transformative growth as a country. We need to diversify away from oil. And for that to happen, there has to be radical changes. So some of these at the hem have changed, but there's a very long way to go. And we must be ready to make radical decisions.
And the Naira weakened by 0.55% to 365 at the parallel market and 0.15% to 360.96 against the dollar at the investors and exporters forex window this week. This comes amid the injection of $210 million into the forex market by the central bank, comprising $100 million to wholesale, $55 million to SMEs, and $55 million disbursement to the invisibles windows within the week. However, traders expect the Naira to remain stable despite the heavy demand in the Yuletide season on the back of the country's increasing foreign reserves. And after 3 sessions of profit-taking, the local equities market ends Friday's session with a strong recovery driven by the industrial goods bellwethers. Chimezie Obiwagu has more.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. The equities market rebounded after 3 days of bearish run, with the index back into the 38,000 mark. Today's proceedings started in a low mood, but bounced back after midday, thanks to Dangote Cement, which recovered the 10 naira it lost yesterday, as well as Nigeria breweries. At the close of trading, the all-share index notched up 1.32%. However, market breadth was negative, just 12 gainers against 25 losers. Dangote Cement was the highest gainer on the price movement chart, while Okomo Oil topped the losers. Transaction volume and value was quite good. The market made a little above 9 billion naira for the day. Zenith and GT Banks were the volume and value drivers. Analysts say today's market performance is an indication that the dream of a Santa Claus rally by the end of the year will come true. And that was the Stock Market Report. I'm Chimezie Obiwagu.
Meantime, major world equities end the week with mixed sentiments as investors focus on European leaders' plan to begin second-round talks on Brexit, as well as political developments in the US. Here are the day's figures. And that's a package on business news tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Emana Amawe. It's back to you, Joma.
You first. First Bank.
Thanks, Emana. Still ahead on the news at 10, FIFA threatens to expel Spain from the 2018 World Cup due to political interference in the affairs of the country's football federation. That's on sports. Please stay with us.